Hi guys, can you let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me? I don't expect many people on today, so if I don't get a reply back, I'm not bothered. Um, it's a sunny day, so a lot of people will be in the gardens or coming home from work and stuff like that. Okay, so I'm just waiting to see if anybody responds. Thank you, Kathleen. At least one person's watching. Oh, Joan's watching as well. Hi, Joan. Right, okay, so I'm going to crack on because I only have an hour tonight to actually demonstrate. So I'm just going to quickly crack on. We're carrying on with the tote bag. So last week we did the actual the organizer. Um, and then this week we're going to do the tote, well, as much as I can in the hour of the tote bag. And then if I don't finish it, there'll be another live for it. But just before we go ahead, Sewing Street have said that so a couple of years ago we did the wash and go bag, which was a folding up bag, and we did it as simple worksheets with the Fred's gang. They are taking that as a pattern. So I've just done all the photographs for it. So this is the wash and go bag for anybody that's new, and it's got a 3D squared pocket here, a slip, um, a long pocket, a wider pocket here, and um, a normal size pocket there for your toiletries. And then it's got, if you're like me, you carry your makeup brushes, you can put your makeup brushes in the back pocket here. Um, this is actually coming a full pattern, and this will come as a digital download. There should be a video, but I'm not 100% sure if this is one that Facebook has deleted. So if Facebook has deleted it and we haven't managed to catch it before Facebook's deleted it, it will go. I will have to do a sew along for this because it's quite complicated. This one is compared to the tote. This is a bit more complicated. So there will possibly be a sew along for General Joe Public, but that will be the follow next month when that will be filmed. But yeah, this will be the wash and go bag for Sewing Street. This and plus the tote that we're doing now. So that is in May. Oh God, I can't believe I'm talking about May. Right, okay, so I'm just going to go to the overhead camera and crack on. Overhead, yep. Right, okay, let me just move these. Right, okay, so if you're new to the group, hi. If you want any of the digital downloads, the best place to grab them is if you go to this Facebook group, go to the files section, you'll find the digital downloads in there. However, if you can't print them out yourself or you can't digitally download them, I tend to have a few paper patterns of each pattern. So just message me. I do have to charge you. This hasn't arrived. This paper pattern is arriving tomorrow. I've just checked the delivery. It's arriving tomorrow. So anybody that's ordered this one from the Facebook group post, they will be sent out now on Monday, but they are on their way. I've looked at Royal Mail. Right, okay. So last week we tackled the actual organizer. So we went from step 30, if I'm right. So we actually started, I'm missing a page here. I'm not. We went from step 30 and completed the organize because I only had so much time to actually give. But tonight we're actually going from step 1 to step 30 as far as we can go. Right, just a few rules of the pattern. It's a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I have said width and height and length. That's to do with cutting out, especially if you've got a one directional print. Talking about the paper patterns, it's actually been delivered at my father's. Unfortunately, I can't make to my dad's tomorrow. So those who have ordered the paper pattern, it will be sent out to you on Monday, and it'll be on a 48-hour service. So going back to the cutting out, where it says width and height, If you've got a one directional fabric like this one is, I've actually written width and height. So that's my width and that's my height. So just please make note of that. If you're using plain fabrics, just ignore the W's and the H's and the L's. Just go for cutting out as much as you can to save as much as you can on your fabric. With cutting out one directional fabric, you will tend to lose a bit of um, fabric. So if I was to cut this here, this pocket, I would need the second pocket, the outer pocket. So if I go to the pocket here, so I would cut out of my fabric 8.5 inches high strip width for fabric. So that's width for fabric, salvage, and then I will cut two 16.5 inches rectangles, which is what we get here. And then you might be left with a piece of scrap. I can't help that if you've got one directional. However, I have allocated it in the actual fabric. So technically you don't really need half a meter. You can get away with just under half a meter. Um, but I've allocated half a meter if you're using one directional fabric. The same if you're using one directional fabric um, for the outer fabric as well. Technically, don't need 3/4 of a meter if you're using plains. So like so this one and the one on the pattern cover, I used like Moda Grunge on this one. I didn't need 3/4 of a meter. So it's swing and roundabouts. I just needed just over half a meter. So just play around with your fabric. That's okay, Princess. I can only give an hour tonight anyway because it's when Michael gets back. Okay, so you do need to make your own binding. It's not bias cut, so it's width of fabric, so it's straight of grain, so it's salvage to salvage. So you cut strips going along rather than on the diagonal. And then also you're doing a quilt binding rather than a bias binding. So let me just grab my binding when I can find it. It's in my pile over here. Okay, so you're just doing a single fold. So like so, just one fold. Before, normally you would fold it into two, but we're only doing a single fold on this one. It does explain to do a single fold here. I need to turn that off on my watch. It keeps telling me to drink some water. Right, okay, step one. We're going to make the outer pockets. Okay, so got your lining fabric right side facing up. I've got interfacing. I've used Fuse It non-woven because I didn't have woven in my stash. And then I've got my contrast fabric and I've got woven on this. If you're wondering what fabric this is, it's out of production. It's by AGF, Art Gallery Fabrics. And this was about 5 or 6 years ago. But it's what my friend's chosen. Right, so right sides together, and we're going to match up just the long edge and clip that. Just make sure it's fine. Okay, so you're going to do that for both sets of pockets. You're going to sew 1/4 inch on both of those, reverse your stitch at the start and at the end. I'm going to chain stitch mine, but I still am going to reverse my stitch at the start and at the end. Sewing machine one. Okay. So you're going to go down to a standard stitch length, which on my machine is a 2.5. I've got Gutermann Sew All thread in mine. I can't help that flickering. It's annoying, but I can't help that flickering, unfortunately. I've got Gutermann Sew All thread in my sewing machine. I've got a size 16 100 needle. I've got my Teflon foot on this. I just find I use my Teflon foot all the time. I'm using 1/4 inch, so if you want to get your 1/4 inch foot out with the blade on the side, you can do, because there shouldn't be much in the actual seams itself, apart from where the straps meet and stuff to the base. If not, use your guide. So I'll be using my guide. So 1/4 inch. Don't forget to reverse your stitch at the start and at the end. So I'm chain stitching mine on because I just find that easier. On your Teflon foot, or is your Teflon foot a Janome one, or can you use? Right, okay. So have you got the HD9 Janome, Kathleen? So this is a special foot, and that's for the HD9. Reason being is it has part of the shank on it. It's I would take it off, but I'm not going to. It takes me ages. I'll show you the 1/4 inch foot while I'm at it. So as you can see, it's got part of the actual shank on it. Yeah, so leave it with me, Kathleen. I'll send you a link in the in Facebook chat and after the live. I think they're about 20 or 30 pounds, but they're well worth it, especially for bag making. Right, okay, so I've sewn those two together. I'm just going to press them open. If anybody else needs the Teflon foot, if you mention it below for the HD9, just comment below and I will try and find, I will get the link and put it in the group. So I'm just going to press these open. I don't know why my friend chose a cream inner, because she goes, I lose stuff. So understandable, but I personally wouldn't have a cream inside, unfortunately. So that's that one. I'm waiting for them to get back to me, Princess, because the smart iron, my large one, I can't fit on here. It's too big. Um, I mean, there's not enough room on the table. I feel claustrophobic as it is. But the small one stopped working. It is intermittent. So I'm waiting for them to come back because I've only had it a year, just over a year. And I'm waiting for them to either replace it or tell me that I need to buy a new one. I'm too messy with a cream lining. Me too. That's the thing. When she said, "Oh, I need it light so I can see stuff," and I was there going picking out light grey or light blue. She goes, "No, a cream would do. A cream or white would be nice, please, thanks." I went, "What?" Right, okay. So along the top edges where we have sewn, I'm just going to top stitch. You can either top stitch 1/8 of an inch away or 1/4 of an inch away from the edge. I'm going to lengthen my stitch length up to probably a stitch length 3, a 3.5, sorry, just because it gives you a nice finish. Yeah, the reason for them taking their time, Princess, is because I'm having it out with them. Because in this country, we have a 2-year warranty on electrical goods. Um, And unfortunately, they're saying, oh, you only get 1 year. That's in America, not in the UK. I've had it out with them. I've had so many emails going backs and forwards. It's getting to the point where I'm just gonna buy a new one. I won't mind the Tula Pink one, to be fair, but yeah, because I can get more pressed with the smaller smart iron than this iron that I'm using, this travel one. I'm not a K fan, so I don't want the K one. Yes, we do. Yeah. So everything electrical in this country, you get 2 years. First year is with taking it back to the consumer of where you bought it from. And then the second year is you can take it, some consumers take it back, but you need to, I know I was the consumer because I bought it from the wholesalers. Um, then you need to take it to the manufacturers. Right, so we're going to pop this to one side. If you go to Aldi, you get a 3 year warranty automatically with them, and that's a consumer one. Right, okay. So, main outer panel of one of the bodies. On the back, you get a interface. You need to put interfacing on it and fusible fleece, and then the fusible fleece should be approximately just over a quarter of an inch free all the way around. I'm going to fold it in half, matching up the two shorter sides. Never used to be like that, Princess. Not when I used to work for Jessop's. It used to be a 1 year guarantee. They have a right to refurbish the iron or take it back and fix it. They don't have to replace it. So I've cut into the centres, but I'm also going to mark them because I just find it a bit easier on the next few steps. Okay, so I've marked my centres. I'm going to get my webbing. So I'm using a webbing from my shop. It's nice and pretty. It's plain on the one side, nice on the other. Um, this isn't my personal choice to go with this, but it's kind of her. She's kind of a hippie style person. So I say hippie. No, she just likes surfing. Right, okay. So I'm just gonna get my quarters roll. We're gonna measure 9 inches. I am gonna mark it on the wrong side. Just where 9 inches goes up to. You don't want to go past the 9 inches, and there's a reason for that is right you have to be peeling off the quilter's tape. Right, so we're going to get the quilter's tape and we're going to run 2 rows. Now this is a 1 1/4 inch wide. On this pattern, I say you can use 1 inch wide or 1 1/4. You can go up to 1.5, but I personally think it looks a bit ridiculous with 1.5, but personal choice. So just going to stick quilter's tape. I went to order some quilter's tape today from Amazon, and my normal person that I buy it from hasn't got any. So I've got to find it from somewhere else. Right, so you need to do both sides. Just gonna, because it's not that sticky, gonna run my fingernail along it so at least then it sticks. This is cotton webbing as well, which I find a lot more pleasant than some webbings when they're quite wide, if you understand where I'm coming from. Right, okay, so we've got our two centres marked, and using your quarter saw, level up the bottom edge with a dominant mark on your quarter saw, and then you need to measure 2.5 inches, and you're going to peel the backing off one of the shorter ends. I'm going to flip that over, match up this end here to the end of the base, and this edge here of the webbing needs to match up against the quarter saw. Stick that down. Okay. And then repeat the same process for the other side. Right, so you're going to try and make sure this isn't twisted at the top before you do anything. So make sure it's not twisted, and then stick this down just like you did with the other one. Don't remove those pins. You need that for when your pocket is going to be attached. Oh, nearly removed it. Okay, so from the top edge of the pocket of the body, you're going to measure down 2.5 inches on the webbing on both sides. Get something that you can mark and it will disappear. Mine's hitting black. Oh well, don't matter. I can't really. And you're going to mark. I've just marked it on the non-black part. Okay. And the idea of marking it is we're going to sew up the edge 1/8 of an inch away up until that mark, sew across, and then down. If you want to, you can go doing a box box with a triangle, an X in. But personally, I don't think it's needed because we've got 2 rows of stitches anyway here, and we've got a complete row over there. So you just go up, across, and down, and we're going to do both of those. So I've got my stitch length on. I've got my stitch length on stitch length 4 now because obviously it's got a little bit bulkier. My webbing is a little bit thicker. It's great for doing crossbody straps. When you go to that mark, make sure your needle is down before you lift up your presser foot and pivot. Don't need to reverse at the end or the start, to be fair, because we're going to seal it in the base anyway. Going to move over to the next one. Okay, so I've got the strap on. I'm just going to move this to one side, and on the two outer slip pockets, let me just get rid of something. Okay, with the two outer slip pockets, we're going to fold in half. I've just got a little bit of an overhang now and at the bottom, so I'm just going to trim those back. That's my cutting out. I rushed cutting out these slip pockets the other day, actually, to be fair. So. Okay, so we're going to fold it in half and find that centre. Give it a really good press. While my iron's warming up, I'm just going to just trim off the little excess I've got here. Right, so just while that iron's warming up and I'm just doing this, just to let you know, I have got a few mystery boxes left. I think I've got 9 left or something like that. I'm only offering them to Fred's Gang at the moment. I only had 13 to start off with. Just to let you know that there is a post within the Facebook group. If you want one, grab them while you can. It's worth £60, but you only pay £35, and you will basically get quite a lot of stuff in it. Fabric, PU, sewing notions, sewing tools, and bag hardware, and bits and bobs for sewing. Okay, so I've just pressed that one. They will go on general sale on Sunday. Like I say, comment below the post and I will invoice you. Or start emailing invoices tomorrow. Right, I've just pressed both of those. Move that on because I need it for another step. So, right, okay, so I'm gonna re-grab my body. Okay. And this is where you need to leave the 2 pins in for your pocket to line up. Okay, so just going to pop some pins in here just to hold it into place. So I've lined it up with the centre. Put some clips at the bottom. And I've lined up the long edge of the pocket to the long bottom edge of the bag. While I'm here, I'm going to go one step further. So I'm going to bring this edge here over to this part here, and I'm going to clip along this edge. You will have this ripple effect here. And same with this side, pull it up so it matches over to that side and clip it into place. Okay, so I'm just going to pop this to one side, repeat the whole process on the other side, on the other panel. So here's my other panel. Add the slip pocket into place. Add some pins in that part first. If it wants to. Okay. And just add some clips there. Just hold that into place, and then just going to bring those two sides in and put those into place. Same with this side as well. Hey everybody, you're not late, Isabel. You can always catch up, don't stress about it. Okay, so we're going to sew between the seam lengths. Now remember your seam length is 1/4 of an inch, so you technically want to go about 1/8 of an inch away, 1/8 of an inch away. And you also want to sew down this crease here. You want to reverse it a few times here. Remove this pin here, so once you get close to where that pin is, and then we come back and sort out these waves here. Ironic because there's waves and I've just mentioned waves. So grab the first panel. So I'm going to sew down the two sides first so that's hold into place on there. I've got it at a stitch length number 4, just a basting stitch. I'm going to reverse my stitch at the start. You don't need to reverse your stitch at the end, but totally up to you. And make sure you're about 1/8 of an inch away, because remember you're only using 1/4 of an inch seam allowance on this bag. So I'll do the other side. Okay, and then I'm going to go down that center crease as well. And like I said, you can remove the pins as you go. I just don't want to knock my pins at the moment. So that one can go. Reverse your stitch a few times on that pocket at the top. And make sure you stick to where the crease is. Just going to get rid of that pin. And you don't need to reverse at the end either. Okay, so let me just remove some pins. And I can remove those two clips that were at the bottom, holding it into place there. And I'm just going to repeat myself, just so I can get this panel done. So we need both panels done so we can attach it to the base and that. And then just do this pocket center. Okay, so I'm just going to get rid of those pins and clips. Okay, so you're going to get your filters roll, and you need your iron on a good heat. Move some of these clips into the pot so I don't lose them. Okay. And you're going to measure 3/4 of an inch. So if you're wondering what step I'm on image 12, step 13. So 3/4 of an inch. So 3/4 of an inch. I'm gonna bring this over. Let me just bring this up. Sorry. So 3/4 of an inch. So you're measuring 3/4 of an inch from the edge. I'm gonna start measuring, bringing this fold over like so. Pop a clip in that. Just going to pop a few clips at the bottom. Okay, I'm going to repeat the same process so you can see again. I'm going to do it on all the panels. So 3/4 of an inch from the edge. Bring this over, slowly roll it, and you want the fold of the pocket to be resting right next to the 3/4 inch mark. You want to clip it. Okay, so to make this look pretty, you need to give them a really strong press at this stage. Because if you don't do it, it won't look nice, and your bag won't look the shape that it is in the picture. So, okay, and then do the other one. Okay, so I've just done that one. I'm going to repeat the same process. So go for the other panel. Okay, so 3/4 of an inch. Okay, and you're gonna just roll. If you can see what I'm doing with this finger, that's helping me generate where that fold is gonna happen. So there you go. And then the other side as well, 3/4 of an inch. I always find this side a bit more struggling because obviously I'm using this hand to generate that king, that fold. It just doesn't feel natural to me. Okay, and then I'm just going to give those a press as well. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do on both of the panels is sew across that edge there, the bottom edge, where you see the pleats, the folds. You're just going to run a few times over it, and you need to base stitch around about 1/8 of an inch away. Just fold, bring your mind over to make sure my pocket isn't overhanging, especially where these parts are, where those folds are, because you don't want your needle to slip off and then your fold won't be a true fold, if you understand where I'm coming from. Right, so yeah, keeping it at stitch length 4 for now anyway, while I'm just base stitching this. So 1/4 of an inch, no, 1/8 of an inch, sorry. I'm reversing my stitch a few times over that pocket where the fold is on that pocket, shall I say. Can you tell it's nearly dinner time because I'm getting my words mixed up? Right. So that's one. Okay. So those are done. We're just going to quickly pop one of these to one side, and we're going to grab the base outer. Okay, so the base outer, I really hope it's my base. Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to trim that off as well because my strap is just slightly overhanging, and oh, I knew that was going to happen. So fluffy. Oh no. Where's the sellotape? Ah, no, I don't need sellotape. I just don't want it on the bag. Good. Okay, so on the reverse side, on the wrong side, you need interfacing on, and you'll need fusible fleece, single-sided fusible fleece, so 640, and like magic, it's gone. Blue Peter Stone, here's one I did earlier. And then you'll need to cut the fusible fleece out of the seam lines. So we are now on step image 14. So we're technically still on this page. On step 16, but we're on image 14. On the wrong side, we are working on. Doesn't matter if you use a removable ink, because it is going to be in the seam lines anyway. Right, okay, so I've measured in 1 inch and drawn a line from start to finish, so as you can see. And you need to do that on both short ends. Okay. Oh, yes. Me and Ethan have got a habit of not emptying our pockets at the washing machine. Yeah, I do understand that. And especially we wear a lot of black clothes and it goes everywhere. Right, okay, so you're going to get your outer body, one of your outer bodies, shall I say. You're going to pop this right side facing down, and you're going to clip along that base, that line there. Making sure this fits on. Right, most of you all know what these marks mean. So we are going to sew 1/4 inch from this mark here. We're not going to sew this section here. We're going to go from this mark all the way across to the top point of that mark. We're not going to sew into that section there. You're going to reverse your stitch at the start and at the end of that sewn line, because you probably can understand what I'm doing here is to get a squared bottom. So if you can see, I've got a nice squared rolled bottom here, but without having to do a long gusset on the bag. So yeah, so I'm going to repeat the same process. So I'm basically moving to the next step, which is adding the other side, and then I will sew both of those base pieces together. Do we top stitch? I can't remember that one. Have I disappeared? Have I disappeared, guys? I might have disappeared for a few minutes there, a few seconds. My computer decided to. I don't think I do top stitch, do I? No, I don't top stitch. Okay, that answers that question. Okay, my computer decided to quickly do a restart, but it was still had the software running in the background, so I have no clue what just happened. I know it keeps trying to reconnect to my watch. Don't know what my watch is going to do. Yeah, that's the only. My iPad does that. When I watch John on a Sunday, I give up after a while with John. Not because of John, because of my iPad buffing. And I know it happens to Princess because Princess keeps popping in and out. So, right, okay. So same process with this one as well. I'm going to sew between the two marks, and I'm not going to sew over. Okay, so knocking my stitch length down to a standard stitch length now. So on this sewing machine, it is a 2.5. 2.5. And I'm going to do both of those. Make sure you're doing it from the marked side so you can see where those marks are. And remember your 1/4 inch seam allowance. Yeah, that's it, just on the line. You will find it a little bit bulky where the pocket's got the folds on and where your strap is meeting the bottom. And reverse the stitch at the end, but make sure you have not gone over that line. I'll do the other side. Might be able to get the sides on. Okay, so before we go any further, what you need to do is where those marks are, you need to snip into all of the fabric, not into your sewn line, but you're going to snip on that line that you've drawn, and you're snipping up to the sewn line. And you're going to repeat it for the other side as well. Okay, so you should have like a little flappy bit in both of the corners. Right, let me just see. Probably not, but let's see how far we can get. Okay, so you've got your two side gussets, and you're working on the wrong side and just on the two base. So if you're using a directional print, you want to use the bottom of the directional. Okay, got interfacing and fusible fleece on those. I'm going to do some extra markings on this one. So where is my pen? Where's the pen gone? Where have I put the pen? I have no clue where to put the pen. Oh, I'll find something else. Okay, so don't know if you guys would. Okay, so on the bottom edge, 1/4 inch up, exactly the same process. We're going to draw a line. It's not the best. I'm just going to, and then we're going to go one step further. That's fine. That's fine, hon. I'll be finishing the live soon anyway. On the two sides, you're going to measure in 1/4 inch. And you just don't need to draw a line completely up, just over where that marking is. So you should have a little square in the center at the bottom. You're going to do that for both pieces. Okay, so that's that one. And I think I'm just going to do the markings tonight, ready for the next sew along on this. So I'm going to do that mark there, and I'm going to measure in 1/4 inch and do that mark. Okay, so on those I've prepped ready for my next part. So the idea is, if you want to just crack on the next part, is you open up to the base, and the idea is these two marks here should be where the base joins the two main body pieces. So where the base folds over on those should line up with those two vertical marks there. This is your sewn line, this line that you drew horizontal, and you sew in between those two marks there. And then you'll snip just into this part here, like before. So I've pretend I've sewed it, and you will snip into there on both of those, and you will repeat that for both sides. And then you can bring the bag up to match that side, and you will find that the base will give you a nice pointed corner, and then you can sew those. But I'm going to do that in the next live for me. Let me just go to the front view camera. So that's this week's live. So next month I will be doing 2 more lives, but this will be finished in the very first live. It's pretty simple, the next few steps. I will get the lining complete because the lining is the same process as the outer bag, and all we will be doing is finishing off the outer bag, putting the lining inside the outer bag, and then we putting the binding on, and then that will basically finish off the tote. And yeah, so I've just got to get a drink. I'm not very well at the moment, so yeah, so that will basically finish off the bag. The two lives next month is finishing off the bag, and then the following live is a double pouch, no, a double zipper pouch, but it's not like the one we've done before. It's slightly different shape, and it's got, yeah. So the two zips are right next to each other. So yeah, so I'll be doing that one next. So thanks ever so much for joining me in the live. Don't forget the mystery boxes will go on general release on Sunday. So grab yours while you can. You need to pay by Sunday, so your invoices will be invoiced tomorrow onwards. Um, and basically you need to pay by Sunday. If you haven't paid by Sunday, they will go to general release. I have only had 13 to start off with. I think I'm down to 9 without checking. I might possibly be down to 8 or 7. So grab them while you can. There's £60 worth of products in there or more because I just took stuff in. Um, but you only pay £35 plus postage. Right, okay. Thank you ever so much for joining me today, and I'll see you all next time. And don't forget to grab the pattern, which is up in the file section. See you all soon. Bye.